My name is Maya Collins, and there are days I still hear the echo of chairs scraping across the floor at my sister's wedding, the sound that marked the moment I realized exactly where my family believed I belonged. The wedding took place at a vineyard just outside Sacramento, California, surrounded by polished stone paths and rows of white folding chairs arranged like a magazine spread. Everyone looked perfect. Everyone except me. I arrived early, holding the small card Rachel had mailed me, Table 7, Family Section. That tiny number felt like dignity, like a promise that at least for one day, I wouldn't be treated like a shadow. I smoothed my dress, tucked the card into my clutch, and walked toward the large decorated tent. But the moment I reached Table 7, my chest tightened. A woman I had never seen, smiling too widely, bracelets jingling, was sitting in my chair. Her name tag read Sophie. Mine was missing. I cleared my throat. Hi. I think this seat was assigned to me. Before Sophie could respond, Rachel's heels clicked behind me. Oh, Maya, she said, voice bright but cold, I moved you. Sophie's practically family. You're better off over there. She pointed toward a narrow hallway leading to the restrooms. Laughter bubbled around the table. My mother adjusted her necklace instead of defending me. My father didn't even glance up. Rachel, I whispered, why would you do that? It's not a big deal, she replied. Don't start drama today. The seat she gave me wasn't a seat at all, just a lonely folding chair pressed against a wall. Guests walked past without noticing me. Every footstep sounded like a reminder, you don't matter. I sat there quietly, realizing something painful and permanent. I didn't belong to them anymore. Leaving the vineyard that evening felt like walking out of a life I had been begging to stay in for far too long. The sky was dimming into purples and golds when I stepped into the parking lot, my heels sinking slightly into the gravel as I tried to breathe. I didn't cry. I didn't look back. I simply unlocked my car, sat inside, and let the silence press against me like a truth I could no longer ignore. For years, my family had treated me like optional background noise, invited but never included, present but never valued. The wedding simply made it undeniable. By the time I reached my apartment in downtown Sacramento, the humiliation had shifted into something sharper, something steadier. Pain, yes, but also resolve. I changed into pajamas, made tea, and sat on the edge of my bed replaying the scene again and again. My phone buzzed once. A wedding group photo. I wasn't in it. My name wasn't even tagged. That tiny omission cut deeper than Rachel's words. I opened my laptop and searched for jobs. I'd been working as a part-time receptionist at a small dentist's office, scraping by, never taken seriously. That night, something inside me refused to settle for survival anymore. I updated my resume, applied to 10 positions, and bookmarked 3 community college programs. I didn't want revenge. Not then. I wanted distance. Distance from people who could replace me with a stranger without blinking. Around midnight, I made a quiet promise to myself. I would change my life without announcing it, without pleading for acknowledgement, without waiting for anyone to see my worth. If my family believed I belonged in a hallway, I would build a future so solid they could never push me to the margins again. And I meant every word truly. The next morning, Sacramento felt different. The same sunlight came through my blinds, the same hum of traffic drifted through the window, but something inside me had shifted permanently. I wasn't the girl who sat in a hallway chair anymore. I was someone rebuilding quietly, one decision at a time. I made coffee, opened my laptop, and checked my email. 3 interviews. 3. For the first time in years, hope didn't feel dangerous. I spent the next week preparing obsessively. I watched free online courses late into the night, practiced interview answers in the mirror, even changed my wardrobe using thrift store finds that made me look more professional. I didn't tell anyone. Not my parents. Not Rachel. Not even coworkers who barely remembered my name. On Friday, I walked into my first interview at Everett & Rowe Consulting, a mid-size firm downtown. The office smelled like polished wood and ambition. The hiring manager, a calm-looking woman named Dana Hughes, glanced at my resume and then at me. You don't have much experience, she said, but you look determined. Tell me why you applied. For a moment, I thought of telling her everything, the humiliation, the hallway, the stranger in my seat. But instead I said something honest, something simple. I'm ready to outgrow the life I've been surviving. She nodded slowly, almost approvingly. 2 days later, she emailed me the offer. Administrative coordinator, full-time, benefits, growth potential. I stared at the screen for nearly a minute before believing it was real. Tears didn't fall. I didn't cheer. I only exhaled, long and shaky, like I'd been holding my breath since childhood. I accepted the job without hesitation. I didn't tell my family. They didn't ask anyway. But deep down I felt the shift. This was my first quiet step toward a future they never imagined for me. Starting my new job at Everett and Rowe Consulting felt like stepping into a world I had only watched from afar. The office buzzed with purpose, people typing quickly, phones ringing, quiet conversations about projects I didn't yet understand. I felt small at first, but not invisible. For once, being small didn't feel like being dismissed, it felt like being new. Dana, my manager, introduced me to the team, and for the first time in years, people looked me in the eyes when they said my name. "Welcome, Maya," they said. Not background, not extra, just Maya. I threw myself into the job. I stayed late learning the software, asked questions even when my voice shook, and organized everything until the department felt less chaotic. My coworkers noticed. One afternoon, Dana stopped by my desk. "You work like you're trying to outrun something," she said gently. I smiled a little. "I'm just trying to catch up." She didn't push further. She didn't need to. Outside of work, my family remained unchanged. My mother sent a group photo of the girls having brunch, Rachel, her friends, and, of course, Sophie. No message. No invitation. My father occasionally forwarded articles about Rachel's achievements, promotions, features, glowing praise. Not once did they ask how I was doing. At night, I sometimes replayed the wedding scene in my mind, Rachel's voice, the laughter, the folding chair against the wall. But instead of hurting, it fueled me. I wasn't chasing their approval anymore. I was chasing the life they never imagined I could build. 3 months into the job, Dana called me into her office. "You've outgrown your current role," she said. "How do you feel about taking on junior project coordination?" My heart pounded. "Are you sure?" I whispered. She smiled. "I'm certain. You earned this." For the first time in my life, someone said those words to me. And I believed them. The promotion didn't magically fix my life, but it shifted something deep inside me, something steadier than confidence, something stronger than hope. It felt like I was finally stepping out of a shadow I didn't know I'd been living in. My days became fuller, my decisions firmer, and my voice clearer. With the new role came new responsibilities, organizing timelines, communicating with clients, reviewing budgets. The first time I led a team meeting, my hands trembled under the table. But no one mocked me. No one smirked. People listened. They took notes. Dana nodded at me with a kind of pride I had never once seen in my mother's eyes. That alone changed everything. At home, I began creating routines that didn't involve my family. Weekend hikes. Evening classes in project management. Saving money with a discipline I never had before. Bit by bit, my life stopped orbiting around people who never valued me. Then one afternoon, something unexpected happened. My phone buzzed with a message from Rachel. "Rachel. Hey, can you send me your salary details? I'm filling out something for Dad." I stared at the message for minutes. Dad never asked me for anything. He never needed my information. He barely acknowledged my existence. Why no? I typed a reply, deleted it, then locked my phone. I didn't owe them anything, not explanations, not income details, not access to a life they had no part in building. For the first time, I allowed myself not to respond. That silence felt powerful. A week later, my first performance bonus arrived. A small amount, but symbolic. I treated myself to a modest dinner and sat alone by the restaurant window, watching city lights blur into soft golds. For the first time, I felt like the main character in my own life, not the forgotten seed on the sidelines. I wasn't done growing. Not even close. Progress rarely moves in a straight line, mine certainly didn't. The higher I climbed at Everett and Row, the more I felt the distance between myself and my family widening like a quiet, steady fault line. Months passed without a single call from my parents. Not for my birthday, not for holidays, not even just to ask how I was adjusting to my new job. And somehow, I didn't miss them. Instead, I focused on myself. I took weekend workshops, earned a project management certificate, and even attended a networking event where I forced myself to speak to strangers without shrinking. My confidence wasn't loud, it grew like tree roots, silently, underground, becoming stronger every day. Then, on a rainy Tuesday evening, everything shifted again. I was staying late at the office, finishing an updated project timeline, when my phone buzzed repeatedly. Missed calls, 3 from my mother, 2 from Rachel. That alone was unusual. They only contacted me when they needed something. A minute later, a text appeared from Rachel. "Call me. It's important." I ignored it at first. But then another message came. "Dad says you need to help with some expenses. We're family, Maya. Don't be difficult." Family. The same people who laughed at me, excluded me, and replaced me with a stranger at a wedding table were now suddenly calling us family. I didn't reply. 2 hours later, my mother texted. "Your father is disappointed. We thought you'd be more supportive." Supported what? I had no idea what they were talking about. That night, I sat at my kitchen table, staring at the messages, feeling nothing but a quiet clarity. They didn't want me. They wanted what I built. I closed my phone and placed it face down. If they needed something from me, they were about to learn how much I had changed. The next morning, I woke up to another string of messages, this time from my father. He almost never texted me, so seeing his name on my lock screen felt strange, almost surreal. "Dad. Maya, call us immediately. We need your cooperation. Don't make this complicated." Cooperation? Complicated? They still hadn't explained anything. I brewed coffee and sat by my window overlooking the city, a view I paid for, a life I built without a single ounce of help from them. As I sipped slowly, something struck me. My family only reached out when there was a crisis, or when they needed money. I opened Rachel's messages again, reading them more carefully. There were hints I missed the night before, phrases like expenses, share the responsibility, and it's your turn. Turn for what? Supporting who? Paying for what? I finally texted back one sentence. "What exactly do you need?" The response came immediately, as if she had been waiting with the phone in her hand. "Rachel. Dad co-signed on a loan for me, and things got messy. Since you're the only one with steady income now, you need to step in." Step in. Not help. Not support. They wanted a solution, not a sister. My chest tightened, not with fear, but with a strange, calm disbelief. Rachel had always been the family star, the golden child. They showered her with money, attention, admiration. Even that vineyard wedding was funded entirely by my parents. I remembered Sophie sitting in my seat, the laughter, the humiliation. Now suddenly, the star needed me. I typed slowly, choosing every word with surgical precision. "I'm not responsible for your loan." The typing bubbles exploded instantly. "Rachel. Wow. Unbelievable. After everything Mom and Dad did for you." Everything? I set down my phone and breathed deeply. They had no idea who they were talking to now. Rachel didn't stop after that message. In fact, it felt like my single boundary ignited something in her. She sent 10 more texts within minutes, each one harsher than the last. "You're being selfish. This is why no one includes you. Grow up and take responsibility." Responsibility for her mistakes? For her loan? For the life they all built while treating me like I was disposable? I muted the chat. But my family wasn't done. By evening, my mother called. I let it ring. Then my father. I let that ring too. Finally, I received a long voice message from my mother. Her tone wasn't angry, it was worse. It was disappointed, guilt-laced, dripping with emotional manipulation. "Maya, sweetheart, you know how much we've supported Rachel. She's under pressure. We need you to step in as her sister. Just for a little while. Don't embarrass us." Support Rachel? They never asked Rachel to support me. They didn't even ask where I lived, how I was doing, whether I could afford things. Not once. Still, the old wound inside me, the part still aching from years of being overlooked, stirred uncomfortably. That's what they were counting on. But I wasn't the hallway girl anymore. Later that night, I sat at my desk going through my bills, my budget, my savings. I wasn't rich, not even close. But I was stable because I made myself stable. Without them. Without their approval. Without their help. I typed out a final message in the family group chat. I'm not paying for someone else's debt. Please handle it yourselves. Then I turned my phone off completely. That silence, heavy, intentional, felt like drawing a line across years of quiet suffering. For the first time, the balance of power had shifted. Not in their favor. In mine. When I turned my phone on the next morning, there were 47 unread messages, most from Rachel, a few from my mother, and one unusually long one from my father. I scrolled through them slowly, feeling each word bounce off me without sinking in. Rachel's texts were explosive. You can't do this to us. Stop acting like some victim. We're family. You owe us. Owe them? For what? For a lifetime of being sidelined? For hallway seats? For being treated like spare furniture at every gathering? I kept scrolling. My mother's messages were softer but more dangerous. If you loved us, you wouldn't be acting like this. Your father is upset. Fix things before it gets worse. As if I was the one causing damage. Then came my father's message. Short. Cold. Final. Maya, this behavior is unacceptable. You will call me by tonight to arrange payment. I expect cooperation. Cooperation again. That word felt less like a request and more like a command. I set my phone down and breathed deeply. Old Maya would have cried. Old Maya would have apologized. Old Maya would have dipped into her savings and paid, even if it meant sacrificing her own stability. But I wasn't her anymore. I opened my laptop and searched for something I had never dared to look at before. Legal forums about co-signed loans, family obligations, and financial harassment. Within minutes, the truth was clear. I had zero legal responsibility. Not morally. Not financially. Not contractually. It wasn't my name on the paperwork. It wasn't my debt. It wasn't my burden. And for the first time, the guilt that usually suffocated me began to loosen. If they were going to keep pushing, I was going to push back with clarity, not anger. I typed a single text to my father. No. A full sentence. A full boundary. A full shift in power. And this time, I didn't flinch. My father did not take my one-word answer well. By evening, he showed up at my apartment, something he had never done in all the years I'd lived on my own. His knock was sharp, rhythmic, and angry. The kind of knock that wasn't asking but demanding. I opened the door halfway. He pushed it the rest of the way. He walked inside like he owned the place, scanning my living room with raised eyebrows, as if silently questioning how I could afford it. I stood still, arms folded, guarding my space. We need to talk, he said, tone clipped. I didn't offer him a seat. What part of no didn't you understand? I asked calmly. He exhaled sharply, ignoring the question. Your sister is drowning in debt, Maya. We co-signed to help her, and now the bank is on our back. You will help us fix this. There it was, command, not conversation. I'm not part of that loan, I said quietly. And you know it. He stepped closer, trying to intimidate me the way he always had. You're being dramatic. It's a temporary setback. Rachel is family. She's always been there for you. I almost laughed. Rachel had never been there for anyone but herself. You gave her my seat at her own wedding, I said softly. To a stranger. His jaw tightened. He hadn't expected me to bring that up. That was Rachel's decision, he muttered. Stop holding grudges and step up. I shook my head. No. I won't sacrifice my stability because you enabled her irresponsibility. His eyes flared with anger. You ungrateful girl. After everything we've done. What have you done for me? I interrupted. Name one time you chose me. Silence. The kind that reveals truth. He turned to leave, but not before delivering one last threat. You'll regret this. As the door slammed behind him, I realized something. This wasn't just about money. It was about control. And they were losing it. My father's threat didn't break me. It clarified everything. From that day forward, I stopped responding to their guilt messages, stopped reading their emotional traps, and stopped allowing their chaos into my life. Silence became my new boundary, and peace followed like a shadow. Months passed. Then a year. Then nearly two. In that time, everything changed. I earned another promotion, project coordinator. Then a raise. Then an offer to lead a small internal team. My savings grew. My confidence grew. My life grew. I even bought something I never imagined owning at my age. A small condo on the east side of Sacramento, entirely under my name. Meanwhile, my family spiraled further into financial disaster. Rachel's loan defaulted. My parents had to refinance their house. Yet they never apologized, never acknowledged the damage they caused, never once asked how I was doing. They still assumed I was the weak link, the hallway girl, the invisible one. Until the day everything reversed. One Saturday morning, I received a message from Rachel. For the first time in years, she used my name, not an insult, not a demand. Rachel. Maya, can we talk? I need money. Please. I stared at the screen, feeling nothing but clarity. Not anger. Not revenge. Just truth. I replied, send me your financial documents. All of them. Within an hour, she sent everything: loan details, debt letters, bank notices. She was desperate. I reviewed every page carefully, and that's when I saw it. A clause I knew they never read. A clause that stated the cosigner, not me, was fully responsible for repayment. A clause that legally freed me forever. I sent her one message. This isn't my responsibility. Handle your own debt. She didn't reply. For the first time in my life. I walked away, and they finally realized I wasn't coming back.